Hi guys, it's Matthew Pejkovic from Matt's Movie Reviews, and now I'm going to count down my top 10 favourite horror movies. At number 10 is The Wicker Man. Paganism, folk music and a gripping mystery combined in this unsettling horror musical set in an island village where a straight-laced police detective and conservative Christian, played by Edward Woodward, investigates the disappearance of a missing girl. Instead, he unravels a conspiracy and, well, you have to watch to know the rest. Directed by Robin Hardy and featuring British horror legends Christopher Lee and Ingrid Pitt in villainous roles, The Wicker Man still stands as a frightening and weird horror movie, with its image of a giant Wicker Man statue in flames a highlight in horror iconography. At number 9, Interview with a Vampire. There are some horror films which change the subgenre they're associated with. Halloween did it with the slasher movie, The Silence of the Lambs did it with the serial killer movie, and Interview with a Vampire did it with a vampire movie, changing long-held conventions while making new ones. Epic in scope and dramatic in story, the film told the story of a centuries-old vampire Louis, played by Brad Pitt, and his maker, the homicidal Lestat, played by an excellent Tom Cruise, as they feed through the ages. Director Neil Jordan spared no detail in giving life to the writings of Anne Rice, created a vampire movie that is as visually lush as it is horrifying. An eerie horror mystery based on the supposed true-life disappearance of 3 schoolgirls and a teacher in outback Australia. Peter Weir's critical breakthrough is as chilling a mystery as they come. Blending period detail with paranormal activity, the dread in picnic at Hanging Rock is palpable as no resolution is given for what happened to these people who presumably vanished in thin air, as Weir forces us to use our imagination and draw our own conclusion. Yet the most distressing thing of all is that no conclusion could be formed. At number 7, The Sixth Sense. Believe it or not, there was once a time when M. Night Shyamalan was considered a bright star in horror thriller filmmaking, and that was due to this breakthrough film. A ghost story with a heart to go along with his spooky thrills, The Sixth Sense starred young Haley Joel Osment as a tortured kid who could communicate with the dead. A child psychologist, played by Bruce Willis, attempts to help while dealing with his own personal problems. Shyamalan created a moody, scary and moving supernatural thriller, while also evoking career-best performances from his cast. And number 6, Seven. Continuing down the path that The Silence of the Lambs built, Seven is in itself a gripping crime thriller that delves into the dark recesses of serious horror in its story of 2 detectives, played by Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, who try to track down a serial killer who uses the 7 deadly sins as inspiration for his grisly crimes. A dark movie which I have many on a permanent down after the credits roll, Seven was the first film to truly show the filmmaking talents of director David Fincher after he stumbled with his debut Alien 3. Since then, Fincher has returned to serial killer territory, yet none can match Seven in regards to its darkness and horror. At number 5, Requiem for a Dream. A dark and disturbing anti-drug movie, Requiem for a Dream delves into the deep dark pit of drug addiction in its portrayal of 4 lost souls haunted by their selective poison. Directed by Darren Aronofsky and featuring career-defining performances by Ellen Burstyn, Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly, this is an urban horror movie which portrays the destruction of mind, body and spirit, with the last 20 minutes sure to induce nightmares in the most jaded of horrorphile. Number 4, Nosferatu, a symphony of horror. Although vampire movies are essentially a genre unto their own, the 1922 original Nosferatu still stands as the creepiest, darkest and innovative vampire movie to haunt the screen. Based on Bram Stoker's Dracula, yet for legal reasons it saw many a character name change, and directed by F.W. Murnau. Nosferatu is a silent film classic that proves a picture can deliver 1,000 scares and features one of the great performances in Max Schreck's monstrous Count Orlok, who has to be the ugliest vampire to ever disgrace the silver screen. And number 3, The Shining. Now, Stephen King may not have thought much of this adaptation of his work, yet The Shining still remains a visceral and psychological horror masterpiece. Starring Jack Nicholson in all of his unhinged glory as a hotel caretaker gone mad, and directed by Stanley Kubrick in one of his best films, The Shining effectively mixed supernatural thrills and homicidal violence with plenty of nightmare-inducing imagery to boot. Number 2, Jaws. On top of ushering in the summer blockbuster and introducing Steven Spielberg to the masses, Jaws is also a blood-curdling monster movie that made people think twice before stepping into the ocean. part psychological thriller, part adventure, and all-around masterwork of horror. Jaws is also filled with great performances from Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and especially Robert Shaw as Shark Hunter Quint. Most impressive is Spielberg's direction and never give up attitude, which saw this tropical production about a great white shark chomping on the populace of a popular seaside town become a horror come thriller come special effects monster mash and an iconic piece of cinema. And number 1 in my top 10 favourite horror movies, The Exorcist. Now the key to a great horror movie is to successfully unearth and confront evil in its many varied forms. Now while some films opt to exploit evil as entertainment, others approach the subject in a much more serious way, and The Exorcist is one of those films. Based upon a novel by William Peter Blatty, which in turn was loosely based on true events, The Exorcist told the story of a 12-year-old girl, played by Linda Blair, who is possessed by a demonic entity. Parallel to that is the story of a Jesuit priest, played by Jason Miller, who is asked to confront this evil while dealing with demons of his own. Directed by William Friedkin, who had just won an Oscar for The French Connection, The Exorcist is a film filled with heavy themes based around faith of the Catholic variety. It also chronicles the repulsive transformation of a child into a monster of unspeakable evil, and it does so in a stark, realistic manner where the supernatural invades the real world and where no one can hide behind the veil of logic while doing so. Its effect was instant. Film lovers were and still are repulsed by its horror. Yet so too were they moved by its conclusions, where sacrifice and heroism were made by men presenting good in a battle against evil. My name is Matthew Pejkovic from Matt's Movie Reviews, and that was my top 10 favourite horror movies. If you want to check out more reviews, interviews, and more top 10 lists, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks.